multiple changes to the sim. And one of the things that we did is that we wanted to match some terminology, voice, and style. A lot of what was in the sim, terminology wasn't used anymore, or was pretty outdated, and the voice, there really wasn't one, it was an outline. We wrote it into paragraph form to make it easier to read. It reads much more like a textbook. You could hand this to a student, they can learn from it, you can read it yourself, and it is written at a level that all skydivers pretty much should be able to access this. We bolded the main concepts. Anytime, just like a textbook, anytime there's a main concept that's really important, we bolded it so people could draw attention to it and reduce the cognitive load. That was kind of the advantage of having some educators on our team, is we're pretty familiar with textbooks and pretty familiar with what helps people to understand text structure and take meaning from it. We put in call-outs where there's new vocabulary, mostly in the ISP. We speak another language. And anytime they used a new term, we put a call-out in there. I distinctly remember teaching first jump courses and then asking the student afterwards what their dive flow was, and they said, "What's a dive flow?" Because it wasn't a term that I had necessarily used in the course, and it didn't occur to me that they didn't know what I was talking about. And so we have call-outs for all of those to try to make the sim a little more useful and a little more readable for everyone. Here's an example for you. This is quite literally a section out of category A. We also added a lot of graphics, and Oleg went around and asked some instructors that have seen the sim, what's your favorite part? And overwhelmingly, their answer was the graphics. And so we wanted you to see a sample of what that looks like. You'll notice main deployment handle is bolded there in the first paragraph. It's an important concept. Cutaway handle, reserve handle, main parachute, and then we added these graphics that have captions. And by doing that, we made it much more accessible, the information easier to understand for everyone. The ISP is now addressed to all students, and we wrote it in second person so they know that we are talking to them. It uses you and your. We changed it to an active voice. We wanted to be concise, we wanted to be direct, and we wanted to tell them what to do, and so we did. We made it an active voice that tells you exactly what should be happening. And the modern example, one example of the modern terminology, we no longer use the word horseshoe. We had a pretty big discussion about this, and some of these discussions ranged for a really long time. But it doesn't look like a horseshoe when you're underneath it. And to a student, it doesn't resemble a horseshoe at all if they're tumbling through it. And so we decided to call it what it is. And we wanted to simplify some of the language. So if you notice there's some terms that aren't there anymore, it's because we decided it was time. A horseshoe is now referred to as a premature container opening and a pilot chute entanglement. That's what it is. And so we tried to update the language wherever possible to call things as they are. Giving them a name that a student couldn't understand wasn't very useful. And so as you go throughout the sim, you'll notice that that is a major change that we made. Here's an example of the page that talks about what we used to call a horseshoe, now is a pilot chute entanglement. And it shows you another example of the graphics. We tried to include a lot of them because we're hoping to entice you into reading it. It's our dirty little trick to get you excited and want to go check it out. And you'll notice there's a caption at the bottom. All right,